So it came out that the police, they found 40 caliber, bullets at Keefe D house. And they said that they're gonna, do forensics on it to see if it's connected to Tupac murder. What you think about that?
Bruh, I don't really like, for example, Keefe D admit that he was in a car. You know, word was going around that they was about to investigate him. You really think he would have bullets that was connected to a murder 30 years? That's why I said something don't even add up. You know what I mean? It won't even add up. If you know, for example, that you doing interviews and you saying you was in the car when Pac got murdered, man, I don't think he would have anything connected with that murder that day in his house. You understand? So that's why I said something just, I don't know if they just giving out some news or just, you know what I mean, to make it sound like they doing some investigation, but Pac died in 96, almost 30 years ago. You think somebody gonna really say, come on, bro?
Yeah, I agree. I don't see that. You got to be a complete idiot to still have bullets from a murder that happened 27 years ago. I don't think Keefe D is
Real
that
talk.
dumb, man.
Yeah, 30 years later, that's not gonna happen. And I don't really know too much about him. I don't think that he was living in Vegas when it happened. You know what I mean? So I don't think like a lot of LA dudes recently started moving to Vegas. So I don't think they're gonna pack up their house and say, "Oh, these are the bullets that was in the house when that was in the car we killed Pop. Let me just move them with me to my new house." Yeah, I don't even think that make nobody will fall for that, bro. I think that's why I don't really think nothing gonna come out of this. You understand? And we'll see, but I doubt it. I don't really think they really care about solving the death of Pop, the murder of Pop.
Yeah, I agree, man. But speaking of Keefe D confession, right, that you brought up earlier, do you believe what he said about Puffy?
To be honest, I do. You know what I mean? I want to be careful with what I say. As a Muslim, we don't have proof. We really can't really, say stuff. But from what it seemed like and what the people are saying, Puffy hands was part of it. You know what I mean? And this is what we and this is what we find out before Pac was killed. A lot of things that was happening, a lot of fights that was happening over the chain, for example. We was hearing back then that chain was when people try to say it wasn't a chain worth anything, that's a lie because all them death row chains at that particular time, they was worth money. Sure, he gifted all his homies like these real nice death row chains. You know what I mean? So back then we was hearing that Puffy was paying money to get that chain and he wanted to put in a video. This was coming back to Pac while he was alive. So it seemed like, and like I said, as a Muslim, I can't say 100% because I don't have any proof. But the whole beef, the whole beef with Death Row, Bad Boy, it all, Puffy was in the middle of it. You know what I mean? Unfortunately.
Wow. So when Pac was alive, he
And
even knew
so,
about the bounty that Puffy had on a death row chain.
yeah, when he was alive, we was hearing that's the reason why they tried to snatch that chain is because it was a bounty on the chain saying if you snatch the chain, bring it back to us, we will give this amount of money. And they was playing tick for tack. You know what I mean? I don't know if you heard before that, it was like pictures with, Suge and Pac with some of, Puffy small kids and on the death row sign. It was like a lot of, immature stuff back then. That probably like people was going for tiff and tat. It was just like it was heating up. So when we was hearing these rumors back in the day before Pac died, it won't be surprising to me that, that he really probably had something to do with it. And you have some other, I don't know how authentic it is, the investigation that they did years ago. And I forgot his name. What's his name? Greg Caden or whatever. A lot of people, they were saying that he had something to do with it, Puffy. But once again, I'd be very careful with that because if you don't, as a Muslim now, we don't have no 100% proof, then we can't really say it. You know what I mean? But I know when it was part of the East Coast, West Coast beef, both sides was doing, it was involvements from, Suge was the CEO of Death Row Records. Puffy was the CEO of Bad Boy. His hands is dirty. And he was intimidated of Pac. He was intimidated of Pac and, scary people would do some scary things. They don't really want to solve the murder of Pac. They, I really don't. I think they, they was watching. As I said, they had undercover DEA. They on the team. They was watching every movement. They was watching things, and I believe, and I can be mistaken that they probably know exactly what happened. And if they wanted to really solve it, they would have solved it years ago. But if you look at the history of Pac and where he come from with his parents and then himself, he always been on the opposite side of the law. And I don't mean it in a way like a criminal, like he's out stealing and stuff like that. He just come from an environment where he's seen his family get oppressed by the police. Pac himself, got beat up by the Oakland police. There was a guy, I don't know how old you are, you might not remember it, but it was a guy who was driving in Texas and killed the state trooper. You heard of this?
Yeah, the dude that played Tupac music.
He claimed he was listening to Tupac. So all of these things was adding up where law enforcement they was looking at Pac like he was enemy number one. So like I said, some of these police in America is like gangs. So they look at it like, okay, he's the opposite of our gang, so he died. We're not going to really care about solving his death. And that's how I believe how they looked at it about the situation with Pac. I think if they really, truly wanted to solve it, it would have happened 30 years ago.